Let's leave some of those corporate stories behind. Take a look at the top-down view of markets and what traders are expecting in this Asian session. Peter McGuire from XM joins me now. Hey, Peter, welcome. Good to see you this Monday morning. What markets are you watching in relation to the Biden announcement?
Good morning, Nadine. I think every market. I look at the bond markets, commodities, currencies, stock indexes. Last week was incredible, and I think that I'm not going to be, disappointed, or I don't think traders will be this week as far as volatility. So you had gold through 2,500, gave off 40 odd dollars, then it actually had a bit of a further sell off, and it's bounced again this morning. So it's going to be a very interesting week. And strap yourself in.
Yeah, all right. So we're watching Bitcoin. I mean, I was listening to a podcast this morning saying that really that's the sort of cleanest line you can draw as so far as the Trump trade goes.
You betcha. It's up 15% in the last couple of weeks. It's bounced from 56, 57 to 68. It's and obviously, I think, it's a bit of a runaway train at the moment. So everyone thought it'd probably capitulate and maybe take a 50,000 handle out, but it's gone the other way. And the way it's moving at the moment, it could be through 70 in the next couple of days.
Okay, oil. Now, we mentioned that oil was down on Friday, but, a weekend's a long time in oil markets, isn't it, Peter?
You betcha, Nadine. I think, the CrowdStrike issue and a couple of other factors, as you mentioned in the intro, I think you had to be short over the last couple of days as far as energy, down 3.33% for WTI, just under 3% for Brent. They've bounced a little bit to the upside this morning, but it was the time to be short. Have a look at the charts, and it was very, very choppy, and that's what traders look for, short-term opportunity, Nadine.
Absolutely. As far as the economic data this week, because politics aside, that's very much the driver of what central banks will be doing, and that is what impacts markets most significantly, I suppose, in the long term. We are expecting these global PMIs. What are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for a couple of things. First off, the PMIs, you're looking at the preliminary PMIs for July. They'll be released this week for US. You've got Eurozone and UK flash PMIs. So I just want to see actually, the condition as far as sentiment and where that plays. You've got, the talk of interest rate cuts, Fed Chair Powell, September, that's pretty much baked in. Whether we're going to see some action before that from President Lagarde from the ECB, and where does Hugh Peel sit as far as chief economist for the Bank of England? What's the fabric there? Do we see a rate cut, or is it too early in their cycle, and is it going to be pushed out further, possibly, October after summer in the Northern Hemisphere?
Yeah, okay. And Bank of Canada as well. Retail sales there ease, so we'll be watching that closely as well.
Yeah, less Lululemon being bought, Nadine. So, it's certainly the economic hardship across Canada is pretty tight at the moment. So, let's see how that impacts naturally the loonie and the Canadian stock indexes.
Okay.
But just seems to be fairly weak.
Okay. And when it comes to some of the other metrics that we'll be watching, we've got U.S. quarterlies continuing, some pretty big tech names as well.
Yeah, well, that's right. You've got also you've got GDP this week.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I've got Atlanta Fed GDP model suggests around 2.4%, but it'd probably be a fraction less than that, I think, as far as headline. But as you mentioned, Alphabet reporting after the bell. That'll be Wednesday our time, or Wednesday morning, I suppose. 7 o'clock in the morning. And it'll be interesting. It hit 191 the last couple of weeks. It's given up some of those gains. It's going to be choppy, but, earnings per share are strong. And the overall sentiment, I think, is, you can't get away from its advertising revenue and certainly its online presence. But it's being fought at the online presence, Nadine, from Microsoft and its AI side of the business. So, it's competition, and that's what happens to mature markets. Everyone wants a bite of the action.
Absolutely. So the ASX above 8,000. What are you expecting today? Because obviously we're still digesting the news of U.S. President Joe Biden saying he will not be running for re-election. We still don't have an endorsement of Kamala Harris from the Democratic Party. I think that Biden was showing his support for her. So where are we watching in Asia for some price action today?
Well, I think it's a hard one to pick because, you had that big sell-off as far as US equities over the last couple of days. Well, reasonable sell-off, and NASDAQ, of course. I'll go out on a limb and say you might see a bounce to the upside quite simply on the sentiment of, Biden throwing the towel in, and the uncertainty factor. So I'm going to say, ASX probably have a little bit of a nice move to the upside, but I think it's going to be choppy. And when you look at the news and the fabric of the news over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's getting more wilder every single day when it comes to events and circumstances.